explain
So
it?
that is a really complicated way of explaining a very basic premise, which is last year the voters approved a public safety tax that is funding the hiring of 160 additional police officers and 65 firefighters. Usually, when we have sales taxes that we pass, they're for capital items, like the Vision Tulsa was approved last year as well as a capital program that we're using for a lot of different economic development projects. Improve Our Tulsa passed 4 years ago, and that's what we use to do all of our street work and other projects like that. On those capital projects, a lot of the time, typically the least amount of time they run is 5 years. Sometimes they run 7, often as long as 10 years. And what we have is an amendment process where after you get part of the way into that, let's say you get 3/4 of the way through it, and you have some projects that haven't cost as much as we thought they would, or you have other projects that cost way more than we thought they would. And you need to amend the program that was approved by voters to effectively utilize the funds that were approved by the voters. We have what's called a Brown ordinance. It is called that because it's named after a former city attorney, not for some other reason. And the notion of it is that a press conference is called, it's announced to the media that the council is going to go through this process. The council then has to hold 2 public hearings and then have a vote on whether or not it will amend that sales tax program. And again, this is simply to make use of dollars that can't be precisely allocated over a 5-year period of time. The hitch is that there's a belief that could apply to the public safety tax, which voters approved last year. And so all that is a way to get around to say, all this does is say that the city council cannot amend the public safety tax to use it for other things, that it has to stay dedicated to public safety. Let me give you just a theoretical example. So let's say we pass a $100 street program, best street program ever, $100. And when we're 90% of the way through it, lots of our projects have come in under budget and we've only spent $50. Well, we can either continue to collect the tax and collect way too much, which we have no projects assigned to spend it on, or we can pass a Brown ordinance to allocate other street projects to be funded with that tax, or we could end the tax early. But any of those modifications, we need that ordinance, that Brown ordinance in place to be able to do that. Now the contrast is you passed a $100 public safety tax to hire police officers and firefighters. What you don't want is for a future mayor or the city council to come in and say, well, we've decided we're going to change that and we're going to use $10 of that for cars and drivers for the mayor and council, or gold-seated toilets, or whatever it is that people think would be an egregious use of money. We don't want them to be able to do that. The voters clearly voted for a public safety tax, and this is just saying that it will always be a public safety tax.
What about gold stars for the police officers?
Yes, they can have gold stars. Yes. It does include the cost of training them and equipping and clothing them. So yes, gold stars are included.
Okay, so somebody wants to know, how do we define public safety and what percentage of the current budget is allocated to public safety?
The discussion that we've had to date, at least, is public safety is understood, and I think in the program it is spelled out as police, fire, and 911. And that was the other thing. So it's 160 police officers, 65 firefighters, and then 15 911